So here is the Tama Star drum set. This is the Bubinga version. With the interior finish, the hand rub satin inside, and the option to get inlays on your sound reinforcement rings, it's a beautiful kit. On the outside you have inlays, there's no extra metal in the shell, you've even got a wooden grommet. These are very warm, resonant drums, and they certainly attack a new customer. Tama's been locked in for a long while on making drums that are modern, controlled, and have very focused tones. Focusing on die-cast hoops, free-floating drums, they sustain warmly, but they sustain very short. Not so with Star, though. It's an excellent competitor for some of the more vintage-sounding drums that are warmer. It's far easier to record a drum that's warm and make it tighter. You've got moon gels, you've got zero rings, you've got two-ply heads, you've got hydraulic heads even if you need to go that intense to record something very percussive. But it's hard to go backwards. If you have a short sustain kit, something inexpensive, it's got too much of a tight, controlled, punchy sound like you get in an inferior drum set or like you get in a drum set designed to do that with warmth, you still can't make it open up and sing even by going to single-ply heads sometimes. So you're going to have a lot more ease making this drum set sound more musical than any other Tama drum set out there, and I dare say more musical than any of the competitor drum sets in this price point. So let's take a quick look at some of the features of the drum set and why it sounds so good. One of the things you'll notice about this kit, the resonant heads are far more important for tuning than the batter heads. The batter heads are going to control pitch, and they should be a relative pitch to your resonant head, but if you need a quick change, I'm often too lazy to change my resonant heads because I hate pulling them off the corn ears, especially with cymbals and stuff all around. The Tama kit has a quick release here, so I can actually just pull the drum right off really easily. You can get to your resonant head, you can do your tuning, and we've got a switch right here. When I put it back on, I'm going to flick the switch over and it's locked into place. There's a memory lock, so you don't have any issues with where you put it back. I can just drop this on super easily, lock it, we're done. Now I might actually bother tuning my resonant heads like a good drummer, and my kit will sound better. It's a real shame when I see someone with a $5,000 kit sitting there and they haven't tuned their batter and resonant heads. The attack's great and the sustains, wow, 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 it sounds horrible. You can absolutely tell they haven't paid attention to those resonant heads. They might not have even changed them manually like I think you ought to. The snare drum here is excellently tight and crisp. It's not that much of a departure from the Tama sound you expect. So for those of you die-hard Tama snare drum fans, this isn't a total wild different animal. It's just a little more warm and it sustains a little longer than the average snare drum. We're not getting outside of what Tama is. We're adding a new little bit of a flavor to the family. I like that you have the click tuning snare wire adjustments on both sides, on the butt plate and on the snare strainer. You've got a very nice, quiet, we're going on off here. I don't know if you can hear anything. I can barely hear a click on the snare drum. It's something a lot of the vintage drum players look for, especially if you're using your knee to operate the switch. This one's very easy and yet not so out there it's going to get in the way. Unlike a lightning throw off or a done it, you're not going to be able to hit this drum and have the snare wires just pop loose on you, and yet it's still just as easy and quiet. I'm still flipping it back and forth, and hopefully you can't hear a thing because I can barely hear anything. One of the other important features as to why the kit sounds so good as far as how it was made, take a look at some of the free motion in these drums. They're very free to move. That's part of why they sound so warm. We're allowing a shell here that's constructed with sound reinforcement rings and alternatingly thick and thin plies of maple to sing. We're allowing it to do what it does, but we're also not departing from Tama's modern robust features and hardware. You've still got, like I mentioned, the quick release. You've got the free-floating mount, you've got die-cast hoops, and yet you have this motion. The first thing I would have thought I'd hate about this is I hit a drum and it just goes all over the place on me, and when I want to do a diddle or triples or flams, you go to hit that second note and the drum's moving away from your stick, so it feels awkward. It actually doesn't do that with these drums because they have horizontal motion. Up and down motion is extremely limited on them. You'll notice the same thing on the floor toms. I can move this in circles right here with very little pressure. However, up and down, no give. So you get the exact same feel on all your drums here. Just a little bit of vertical give, plenty of horizontal give so the shell can move and sing. But if you go for 2 rapid strikes, the drums are going to play with your stick instead of against it. They're not going to be running around, hitting stuff and falling over on you. They're actually extremely sturdy despite the fact that they're free-floating. And that's really what you're paying money for here, as well as the way the drums sound. It's a combination of function and musicality. The bass drum's an interesting thing. We're playing with a little bit of a blanket in the recording we just did inside the bass drum and a porthole cut. We're recording with an Audix DP7 mic kit and an Audix D6 mic. What I found is with this particular setup, I've got a very percussive, short sustain bass drum without the blanket inside. I'd probably prefer to rip off the stock head here and go for a EMAD series clear. You'd get that longer sustain, warm, controlled sound, and generally, you know, I kind of hate stock heads on drums anyway, but these come with Tama logoed Remo coated ambassadors on top, which is pretty sweet. Normally, even for a lot of other people's high-end drums, you get something that's just logoed X brand, and you know, it could be any millimeter thick, it could be B stock, it could be something that they're just ripping off the line, and more often than not, you just want to get rid of stock heads. You're not going to have to worry about the extra expense on these. The guys at Tama tried everything on their drums, and I think they made the right choice here with the single ply heads just for warmth and sustain. I just think you're going to want to ditch that bass drum head. But otherwise, I'd absolutely give this kit 5 stars and say, you know, from Greenbrier, where we're known for slamming products we don't like in videos, I actually like just about everything about this kit, and I'm buying one for myself, absolutely. There are more features I could tell you about, but I really think the way that this kit sounds in the video should speak for itself. Call us at 540-372-DRUM if you'd like to order one. You're looking at a 5 to 6 month wait because these are all made to order. The interior inlays and finish are optional. And this again is the Bubinga kit. You'll see the maple kit coming out in a few days. Look for the counterpart video. And again, I'm Stephen Whitesides with Greenbrier Music. Have a great day.